Hi folks, this time I'm going to take a look at the Infobox Carousel. So we've included two types, but we've only implemented one. One carousel basically has an image that goes above the text, and another, Carousel 2, has the image as the background behind the text. Okay, so let's just pop open our site, and we can see here in our index page, we're loading in the library asset for this particular element right here. Carousel 2. Okay. So to update the carousel, you can detach this from its library asset if you want to have have this be unique. And all you have to do is basically find the opening library element, delete it, and then scroll down until we find the closing end library item right here. And then there's the section. So right after you see the previous next, we have end library item. You can delete that. And now this is editable in this page alone. But we're using a library asset to sort of start with. And that asset is in the library, pages, index. And then we have in here carousel and carousel 2. Now, carousel 2 is the one that we're using. That's the one that has the image in the background. Let's just open this up and examine it. Let's get rid of this one here, and let's go to design. Basically, you can see where the text, you can actually edit all this text in your editor, in your design view, just the way it is. It's just like regular text. That's the hyperlink, that's the body, that's the title piece, right? So we have, a heading, a larger heading, body, and a button. And you can see it all right here. That's the button, that's the body text, that's this larger heading, that's the smaller heading. But in the code view, it's broken down a little bit more into columns, okay, and groups. So it's really best that you, when using these carousels, try to keep to boxes of 3, or it looks lopsided. So if you can find a way to do that, we have this broken into group of 3, okay? And like other items, this version of Dreamweaver works really well for this, and you can collapse wherever it says carousel item. One of the first things I do when I go to update these is I just collapse the content so that I can work just on the 3 carousels that I need to start with. So I would collapse it all to see, so I have less to look at. Then I'd expand the group that I want to update. So if it's the first group, I'd now go and expand the first group. So I know that because it's all identical content, I know that I'm actually working on the first group. Okay. So there's the heading, there's the text, there's that. But the piece that I really wanted to talk about was the background image. And here's the image right here. And it uses a background image class, so you don't actually get the effect of hovering over it. So what I recommend you do is, as you can see the link, we're using the images folder, the carousel 2 folder, and image 1. So there's the images folder, there's the carousel 2 folder, and there's the image 1. If you're going to replace the image, try to replace the image, and I'll just check on the size here for a second. We use kind of a fairly large image and allow it to shrink down. And the reason I started off with a larger image is because if anybody decided to be creative, you can actually cut this down to just 2. But if you had a really small image like this size, if you cut it down to just 2 per slide, right? Like there's 3 per slide. So if there was just 2, you'd have to have a bigger image to fill in the space. So that's why we have a larger image here. So the image size we're working with is 800 by 533. Okay, so that's a good size image to sort of default to. And then replace your image right here. You'll just need to make sure that the path is accurate. When I say that is put your replacement image into the carousel 2 folder, and then just copy the name of the image right here and just replace the image name right there. Now another thing is the timing of the slides. The data interval is what changes the timing of the slider. So right now it's set to 9 million, which is basically an infinity number, where if we change it to 9,000, that'd be 9-second timing. And because it's set to the 9 million, it's sort of a default manual if you want to scroll through. And you just need to update that or change it to whatever amount of time you think somebody is going to need in order to read the information. On these carousel scrollers, sometimes having it set to automatically scroll is handy if you don't have a lot of text. But if you have information where you want people to read it, setting it to a manual sort of a setting allows them to move the carousel at their own pace. So that way they're not halfway through and then the thing zips off and they lost what they were at.